And we begin with that breaking news out of the Middle East and heightened alerts for U.S. troops overseas. Good evening once again, everybody. I'm Michael Brownlee.
And I'm Annabelle Sedano in for Colleen Williams. Two U.S. officials say Iran is prepared to strike U.S. bases and assets in the Middle East if it opts to. This all stems from the conflict between Israel and Iran. Sources say there are no indications that an attack against U.S. bases is imminent. But Trump administration officials revealed today they are considering a range of options when it comes to Iran, including a possible U.S. strike on the country. U.S. officials say they have also started a task force to help Americans who live overseas come back to the United States.
The task force is operating 24 hours a day. Over the past week, to help keep U.S. citizens informed, we have issued more than 30 security alerts to countries in the region and updated the travel advisories for Iraq and Israel. We remind U.S. citizens not to travel to Israel or Iraq and not to travel to Iran under any circumstances.
The Pentagon is also expediting the deployment of a U.S. aircraft carrier and other ships to the Middle East. We'll have much more on these developments coming up on the NBC Nightly News with Tom Llamas.
All right, breaking news here at home. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals heard arguments this afternoon on whether President Trump overstepped when he sent the California National Guard here to Los Angeles.
And as of this afternoon, we've learned more than 4,000 National Guards have now been officially activated, along with 700 U.S. Marines. Governor Gavin Newsom sued the Trump administration, saying that decision should have been his and the Guard isn't needed.
All right, NBC4's Lolita Lopez listened in on that hour-long hearing and is live to tell us more. Lolita.
Michael and Annabelle, was clearly the president versus the governor through their attorneys. The main argument is how much authority the president has in this case, which could have repercussions not only in California, but across the country.
And I would point you to the language of this particular statute. It says the president may call into federal service members and units that he deems necessary.
The Trump administration's attorney argued that the president has unreviewable discretion under federal statute and points to what they call riots and violence that occurred over the last few days in Los Angeles following immigration raids across Southern California. Attorneys for the Trump administration and Governor Gavin Newsom presented their arguments in front of the Ninth Circuit Court three-judge panel.
The president has the discretion to decide what level of forces are necessary to counter the threat. And the threat is in the last phrase of that first sentence, necessary to repel the invasion, suppress the rebellion.
The Trump administration attorney argued 2,000 California National Guard are necessary to assist immigration officials and protect federal buildings. But the attorney representing the state and the governor called the move an overreach.
There at least needs to be some consideration of whether there are more modest measures than calling for the National Guard before taking that brave and extraordinary step.
He argued local law enforcement has responded to the violence and any alleged crimes, pointing to dozens of arrests and the curfew in downtown Los Angeles that was used to curtail further destruction of property, as had been seen days before. Governor Newsom, the state's attorney general, the mayor of Los Angeles, and others have said that the presence of the Guard has intensified demonstrations and the situation locally. Today, the state argued the Guard's presence in L.A., which is about one-third of the California Guard, keeps them from other duties.
That's causing harm in terms of not having troops on the ground ready to respond to emergencies, especially wildfires, which is especially problematic as we enter the peak of wildfire season.
Now, the attorney for the administration says they did not need to consult with the governor to make the decision because, in part, the unrest experience is directed at federal agents trying to perform their duties. The judges did seem to question if any consent by the governor is a requirement. The state's attorney says that the case could have implications on the use of the military by future administrations. Now, the Trump attorney also concluded that they would like to seek emergency relief from the Supreme Court if the appeals court does not rule in their favor. No decision yet, so now the Guard remains here in L.A. under the president's order, but experts expect the court will make a ruling sometime this week. Annabelle?